Hi. I am a huge animal lover. Huge. And what I like the most is to investigate how I can use them. For example, I have a hamster. And maybe some people here have hamsters too, but maybe you noticed when you squeeze them like really hard, their eyes, they almost come out. And with a small spoon, you can pull them out. I discovered this one day, already a few years ago. And the funny thing is that when you get the eyes out of a hamster, it takes only a few minutes and the hamster seems to forget it. They walk around as if they could see. So, well, I tried a few things in how I could use this. And what I did, I put a hamster without the eyes in a ball, like this, in my living room. So they ran around in these balls. And then my cats, they really like it because they leave a trace of blood on the ground. And my cats, they lick the blood. And they really seem to enjoy it. So in the morning, I do it before I go to work. And then when I come back in the evening, my cats are still playing with it. It's so much fun. I investigated a little bit in this, what I could do in the same way with other animals. And I was like, oh, I'm an artist. How can I use this method? And I found a way to use the skin of chickens without skinning them before. You just hang them on hooks. You can see it over there. This is on my own garden. And when you leave them there for a few hours, their head becomes red. And after almost a day, their heads become bigger and bigger and bigger. And then after 2 days, the inner parts, really, they come out. And it takes about 1.5 weeks, and then they are completely empty. And then you can use their skin to make art of it. And I was inspired by that. I was like, oh, I could use the skins of animals. And I read that in South Korea, people eat dogs. And I was like, okay, it must be easy to get dogs over there to use their skins and make something out of it. So since then, every year, I travel to Korea and I buy a whole bunch of dogs. And I use their skins and I make pieces of art of it. Here you see me with one of those. And I discovered that I can get quite a lot of money for that. I sell them on eBay, and there's quite a huge market for people who like to buy this stuff. It's weird, but it's true. And of course, there are also people who don't really like it, and there are like discussions about food and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, food. They eat dogs in Korea, and there are a lot of more things they eat in Asia which we don't eat, like here in Europe. And I think one of the reasons is that here we are used to the food we buy in the supermarket, and the meat we buy in the supermarket is already dead, it's in packages. But there, you buy everything while it's still alive. And most people here, they don't dare to kill something. I was like, there's a market. So last year I went to Shanghai and I bought a few hundreds of turtles. And I took them back to Europe and I sold them to high-class restaurants. And the way I did it was I could offer them alive, but instead of them having to kill them, I did it for them. You just chop the head off, and then it's done. And it's really easy, and it's delicious. The good thing about that, I got so much money for that I could go back to Korea to get more dogs. And I actually found out a new way to make art out of dogs without the use of the skin themselves. It's quite creative, I think. Maybe, yeah. What I do, oh, you have to hold it like this, yeah? No, here, show it. Yeah? Can you hold it like this? What I do, it's brilliant. I put paint in their stomach, and then back to the hamster, I squeeze them that hard that they have to throw up. And then when they have to throw up, I just get this canvas like this, here. And I do it on the canvas, and now I have exhibitions all around the globe, like this. I just bought a new house. They're for sale. Well, all the projects I mentioned, it's just a few. They have one similarity. It's not true. My name is Tinkebell. I'm an artist. I have 3 cats, and I am a vegetarian. But these stories, well, just Google me. You'll find them, and even more and even worse. And I get hate mail, threat mail every day for about 8.5 years now. There are petitions against me all around the globe because of this. So what happened? Well, I am an artist, and I have 3 cats, but I had a 4th one. Her name was Pinkeltje. And 8.5 years ago, or actually 9 years ago, she became really, really sick. And I tried everything to help her, but I couldn't. And so on one day, I made the decision to euthanize her. And yeah, it's sad. I hated it. But I did it. And I cried, of course, it was terrible. But there was another thing, because I'm not only a cat owner and a cat lover, but I'm also an artist. And I always try to connect things. And I was like, okay, how can I do something with this situation? And the situation was that my cat, Pinkeltje, she couldn't be left alone while she was still alive. So I thought it would be a nice idea to make a purse out of her, so I can take her with me all the time. Another reason to do it was also that at that moment I wanted to start a discussion on how we use the fur or the skin of animals in our daily life. Most of you probably have leather shoes, a leather coat, furniture, and I wanted to investigate how people feel when it's not a cow who's killed to be something like a coat or a purse, but a friend, like a cat. And although I did euthanize her, as I had to do it, I also could have chosen to just bury her, which I did. I only used her skin. But I decided to use it to start a discussion which really worked. I am an artist, and I always work on different projects in the same time. So meanwhile, I was also working on a project in which I try to discuss the way we have a whole industry of pets. Maybe you already heard or read about how we breed dogs extremely. In a way, a lot of dogs only live for a few years and they have all kinds of handicaps, etc. And at that moment, people were talking about Paris Hilton, who just had like their second dog, which was named Tinkebell. After me, no. The dog became like an accessory. And for that, I worked together with a taxidermist. That's someone who prepares animals. And this taxidermist worked with roadkills, which means animals that had an accident and died. And I worked with this professional taxidermist, and he helped me to make toys out of roadkills, out of mostly dogs and cats. So I worked on 2 different projects at the same time. I made a bag out of my own cat, and I worked with roadkills. Of course, people got to know about it, but not in a way people get to know about things right now. We're at TEDx, everything is streamed online, everyone knows. But at that time, it was 2004, and there was internet, but there wasn't such thing as social media. We had blogs, but they weren't as huge as they are now. So I had no clue what could have happened when I made a presentation here in Amsterdam, where I told people about my project. What happened was that there were a few people and they heard about some bitch that killed her cat, which was me. And they started chain mails. They send out emails to everyone they know. Now we have like mailboxes, address books with like hundreds of people, but then not everyone had an email address, so when you send out a chain mail, you send it to 20 or 30 persons. Anyway, there were so many people who did that thousands of people started to send me hate mail, threatened emails. Because people send in these chain mails messages like, "This bitch killed her cat. She has to die. Please don't check her website because she earns money with that." In 4 years, I got over 100,000 of these emails. I even published a book about them. But something changed. We got Facebook. And that's better. We got Facebook. And what happened on Facebook was that people started anti-Tinkebell Facebook pages. And what happens when you have an anti-Tinkebell Facebook pages? You want as many likes as you can get. But how do you get those? You want to show your anger against me. And you want to collect as much angry people as you can get. And the way to do it is to make the story a little bit worse. So that's how, when you search online, you can find that I own a factory. And every day I kill a few hundred cats. And I earn money with that because I make purses out of it. And everyone in the Netherlands has a cat purse. And you can find that, well, for example, I like to torture puppies every day. The story of the chicks. Actually, a few weeks ago, someone sent me an email to warn me for Tinkebell. And he wrote, "Did you know that this bitch puts paint in dogs and they throw up paint on a canvas and she earns money with that?" I was like, what the fuck? Never did it. The stories were taken by newspapers, by blogs, by organizations. It got bigger and bigger and bigger, even in politics. I had to go to court. I was set free, of course. But last year, there was one website from an animal rights organization, and they made a list out of all the things I did. And I decided to give a reaction. But the first reaction on that was a reaction in which someone said, well, as Google clearly indicates that you have a lot of fun torturing animals every day, it must be true. So, the notion of truth has a new meaning by the spreading of news online. That of the most reblogged one. Thank you.